There's an age-old myth that adding muscle messes up your jump shot. Let me tell you why that's actually true. All right, guys, so I wanted to make a quick video about how adding muscle does indeed mess up your jump shot. That was like an old school myth for a long time, or myth or whatever, urban legend, whatever you want to call it. And then it's been contested kind of like as to whether or not that's true. Let me tell you firsthand, it is true in a way, okay? But if you get the reps in, you can combat this and you should still lift weights. But let me tell you why, okay? Mechanically, purely on a mechanical level, most shooters, okay, will be impacted by adding muscle, especially in the upper body, all right? So basically, let's take this into account, a couple things, okay? Power precision, all right? When you are shooting your jump shot, you want to have a certain arc on it. You want to have about 45 degrees of arc entry angle, okay, into the basket. Maybe a little bit more if you're a shorter guard so you can get it over taller defenders, okay? But the more power you have, the more precise you have to be with your power. If you're barely strong enough to get an NBA 3 to the bucket, then, you know what I mean, there you go, you're just chucking it. And at that point, it's not, precision is not quite as necessary, right? You just need to aim and throw and shoot, right? So power precision is one element as to why, you know, when you gain a lot of muscle, it becomes more difficult because you have to have more precision, okay? Power precision also applies when you have a high arc. If you have a higher arc than like 47 degrees, that's when power precision starts to hold you back. Whereas if you're going a straight line to the bucket, your surface area and the rim space you have to your angle is what's holding you back, because you got to be more precise on your angle as opposed to how much power you're putting into the ball if you have a high arc. So there's a kind of a sweet spot there, right, for the arc. But that's one way that adding muscle fucks up your shot. But let's talk about up here, all right? This is the bigger way. When you add muscle to your shoulder and your chest, look, a conventional wisdom tells us that you want to shoot the basketball with your elbow turned to the rim, all right? Elbow aimed at the rim, and you're shooting, right? In this shirt, it's very difficult for me to do that, okay, in this shirt. But now look, I'm also a pretty big guy. I weigh 260 pounds. A lot of that is fat weight, but I'm still relatively muscular compared to the average basketball player. I used to play football, okay? So I lift that way. I'm a big dude. And so when I shoot, you can see that my elbow naturally is further out, and I'm shooting off my index. It's a little weird, right? That's what happens when you add muscle, because when you add muscle, you're not just naturally able to bring your elbow to the rim as easily because there's more mass here restricting your motion, okay? So in that way, the muscle does inhibit you. But let me say this, okay? Kevin Durant, with his length, right, he also faces similar issues, I'm sure, with getting his elbow in, right? And he turns sideways. If you watch him shoot, he's generally got his feet a little bit to the side so that his upper body naturally is rotated and his elbow's at the rim, all right? So that is one way to remedy that. Another way is just through pure repetition. Look, guys, at the end of the day, you're never going to get a perfect shot every time or ever, right? You're never going to get a perfect shot. You might once in every 1,000 reps, right? But most of the time, you're going to have a shot that is, even if you switch nothing but, not even touching the net, one of those swishes, it's still like if you really look at your release and if you were to videotape that shot form and look at everything, there's definitely something in there that's like 1 millimeter off or whatever, right? Anatomy is not perfect. Humans are not perfect. We can never be perfect and get the perfect thing. Like if you were to simulate it with like a 3D AI machine or whatever, you would not get the same thing. Hold on one second. Brody, hey! I'm going to fuck you up, man. Come here. Sorry, my dog is destroying my bed right now. I can hear it from all the way over here. Hey, come here. Good boy. Yes, come here. And here he is. Okay, don't do that, okay? Anyway, listen. Don't do that. Sit down. Kucho. I'm filming right now, man. You messing me up. Anyway. Yeah, but like, so basically, if you're used to being able to square up all of your body, keep it simple, and just be mechanical and get your elbow in, if you add muscle, it's going to be hard to create that angle with your elbow to the basket, okay? For me, right, look at Lonzo Ball's shot, right, at some points. There are guys who have shot, Jalen Green, I believe, who have shot kind of with their elbow out and they're shooting kind of outwards. One of the things you don't want with your release is, because for me, if I have my elbow in, because I do have muscle, I end up releasing kind of like, I want to show y'all, but like that. You see what I'm saying? Off my pinky type shit. So that's not good, right? So it's actually better that I have my elbow out. For me, what's been happening recently, because at first when I was shooting, I would be mechanical about it. And that was actually holding back my percentage. Going back to the last video about intellectual versus experiential understanding, right? When you allow your body to just do what it does and make shots and keep making shots, your body is going to register the feedback. You know, that's going to do certain things, certain movement patterns, swish, it goes in. Okay, that movement pattern works. Your body and your brain are naturally taking that external feedback and factoring it in to their movement patterns, to its movement patterns, right? So you just kind of got to let that happen sometimes. You can't be sitting there like, I got to be mechanically perfect, toes pointed to the basket, this, that, the third. It doesn't work like that. That's why I don't believe in form shooting. Okay, one of the big things, I don't believe in form shooting, right? Form shooting, okay. Sitting there, when I go in the gym, I just start shooting NBA threes right off the bat. I'm a psychopath. Everybody's like, the fuck is wrong with you? But I'm shooting 50s in the 50s and 50% and shit like that. 55% some days. On good days, like 56%. NBA threes, catch and shoot, okay? And I'm working on off the dribble and shit. I'm getting my game up. I'm trying to get up into the 70s. But form shooting to me is extremely overrated. Why are you going to start under the basket and shoot straight up, like where you release like straight up, and then it has to go like into the basket and be a swish from 2 feet away? There's no power precision. You're not jumping. Like that movement pattern is not replicable out in the 3-point in 3-point land. You're not going to shoot with that arc, right? You're just not. It's a waste of your fucking time. It makes no sense. People are like, form shooting is so important, becoming a good shooter. I'm sure some of the great shooters of all time have used form shooting. And of course, that's probably great for like calibration, warming up, etc., etc. I just don't think that's how, that's like necessary. I don't think that's how they got to becoming a great shooter. I'm sure they used it, and I'm sure a lot of these great shooters do believe, hey, the form shooting is what got me there. I doubt it, cuz I think the reps from behind the line is what got you there, right? The reps, the thousands of shots you've taken from behind that 3-point line is what got you to being a great 3-point shooter. That's sensible, right? Am I fucking crazy for saying that? So, but that's my thought. Like, anyway, to get to the point of my shot specifically, I have ended up allowing my elbow to go out a little bit and then actually releasing, like they tell you not to let your shot kind of release outwards either, right? Like that. You don't want to be like this, right? You kind of want to, they want you, typically to be straight like this, right? I've kind of let my shot go like that a little bit, just a little bit, not as much as dramatizing it here. But that to me is helpful because it allows me to square my body up still, right? And not have to turn to the side, which is inconsistent for me. I don't like doing that. That's what some players do so they can get that perfect elbow in release. For me, I would prefer to be square, but because I have this issue where like the mass up in my upper body, whether that be shoulders, chest, triceps, whatever, is inhibiting me from getting my elbow in comfortably. I'd have to like force it in, right? It'd be weird. It's awkward every single time. I would rather just shoot like this. And if I'm making them shits, then fuck it. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean I got to change the form? It's going in. It's going in. Like, what am I supposed to do? Be uncomfortable? Yo, my man's Devon Burns, okay? If you're watching this, Devon, text me back. The fuck is wrong with you? But, like, this dude, he played football, right? And he was D1. He was on my football team in high school. He was mad D1, like super fast, super like athletic and shit. So he told me one time, because he worked at the same company later on where I was training at, and we talked, and we would, I trained him for a little while for his combine. This is like way after high school. And he was telling me his receiver stance and shit. I was like, yeah, like I was looking up some shit. I looked at some old film, some teach tape from Urban Meyer, blah, 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 blah. And he told me, one of the things he told me is, man, the biggest thing though is comfort. Like you just got to be comfortable in your stance. And I was like, word, facts. That really just changed the way I looked at that. Because the truth is, that's true. You got to be comfortable. How are you going to run a route or get off the line and get in a release and shit like that if you're sitting there like with your hands up and you're squatted in the sprinter stance and you're super uncomfortable? Like that's not going to get you anywhere. You're not going to perform well like that. You know what I'm saying? Like as an athlete, you got to be in your bag. Like you got to be just chilling, like kind of loose, ready to go in your stance. It's the same thing with a jump shot. It's the same thing across the board, man. That concept of comfort, you got to feel comfortable doing what you do and putting it in the basket. It's got to come naturally to you. It cannot be this forced movement that you're doing every single time. That's not going to get you results, period, point blank. So that's my thing on the jump shot. how muscle does indeed impact your jump shot in a negative way. Let me know what y'all think about this topic, okay? And like, comment, subscribe. Love y'all, man. Peace.